Hello, hello, hello. It's Kimberly, your astrologer friend, and I am being super quiet. I'm talking into the microphone because it's late. It's the day before the eclipse, and I thought I have to get on here and do this now. Otherwise, forever hold your peace, girl. Because, yeah, I've been on the phone all day. I don't know if anybody else is dealing with this, but to His Majesty's Revenue and Customs because there is an April 5th deadline to address pension schemes. So that's what I've been doing and taking 100 calls from friends and people all around the world and can't say no to my dear friends that want to catch up. So I have been and I've done some work today, of course, as well. So I'm writing your daily horoscopes for Elle Magazine UK, which is just my absolute pleasure. Honestly, my always my dream job is to do daily horoscopes. I did daily horoscopes for an app called UCAM back in 2016. I did daily horoscopes for Spotify between 2019 and 2023. And now I'm doing 2025 Elle Magazine UK. So super proud and super pleased. But let's today focus on the solar eclipse in Aries. I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's see. Should I share the whole screen? Let's do it. No, I've got too much stuff on there. Okay, let's have a look first at the bare bones solar eclipse illustration that I have here. So I like to strip everything back when I can on the picture app. And the reason I've done this is just to make it really, really naked so that we don't get distracted. So let's have a look first at this solar eclipse, which is the sun and the moon together in Aries at 9 degrees exactly. So this solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, is going to affect people with planets and points at 9 degrees most prominently. But then we've also got some other stuff going on. We've got Mars, Black Moon Lilith, and Chiron over here at 22 degrees. That's creating a T square. So let me just stop my share there. I'm going to go back to a different illustration that I've got for you. This is the illustration of the T square. So you can see it looks like a T, a red letter T. And why this is interesting on so many levels is that the new moon in Aries is ruled by Mars. And Mars is in Cancer, where it's not particularly happy, but it's, been there for a while. It's been in Cancer since January 6th because basically it went into Leo over the Christmas holidays and then it retrograded back into Cancer on January 6th and then it was stationed direct and now it's back to 22 degrees Cancer. And it's perfectly squaring Chiron in Aries. So we've got Mars at 22, we've got Chiron at 22, and we've got Black Moon Lilith at 22 Libra. So for this, we have to start thinking about not only the qualities and different archetypes that we attribute to Mars. Mars is the warrior and the aggressor, the driver, the passionate planet of action. In water sign Cancer, this is about family, this is about home, this is about nurturing, this is about care and feeding, how we're fed emotionally and physically, spiritually too. And then there with Chiron, Chiron is a centaur, so half man, half beast, just like Sagittarius. And Chiron is a doctor type figure. He had a wound in his ankle and was unable to heal himself, but he was bestowed with all these gifts, all these wonderful gifts from Zeus, which made him super intelligent and basically a really top class doctor. And so sometimes when we're dealing with Chiron, we'll be dealing with medical issues or, literal interpretations of healing. And so with Mars square to Chiron, We might think about accidents. We might think about any accidents that have recently been healing or recently sent us to the doctors. And, you know, weaknesses, tender spots, anything that brings pain. And for me, the word pain has been really, really apparent in my recent consciousness. I've personally been hearing people talking a lot about pain, pain management, how to deal with pain. So I encourage you to think about or look at where people or yourself have been confronted with a medical issue, where people and the thing is when we're not paying attention to things, we might not realize it, but you know, I can't name names, but basically there's been a few people around me where I've thought to myself, oh, that's definitely the Aries eclipse. And lo and behold, one is a Scorpio rising, another one is a Scorpio sun, one is a Leo rising, Taurus sun. So maybe the fixed sign people are getting it more than others. So that is this square that is impacting people and really being triggered. And then again, on the Libra full moon, the sun will be conjunct Chiron. So this is not something that's disappearing overnight, but it is presently being triggered. And it's been triggered in the last 24 hours. And another anecdote about this, or another thing to think about, is just the Aries house of the horoscope and people who might be having their Chiron return, or people that have been experiencing Chiron running over their planets or points in Aries. And looking and thinking, like, what happened to those people? What kind of painful signatures have they been going through? Whether it's something to do with their father or masculine people in their world, or it could even be feminine. So basically, I watched this TV documentary about this guy called Graham. He's a chef, and it's the documentary on Netflix is called Con Mum, and it's about con artist, and it's the mother. And so I pulled up this guy's birth chart because his data was on there, and he had a Moon Chiron conjunction in Aries when he was born. And basically, this TV show really beautifully demonstrates how painful life experiences can be, like how harrowing emotionally, like we can go through just utter, pain. So I feel like today in the world of Instagram and online, it's so easy to bypass pain and not really give it much credence or attention because who wants to deal with pain, right? Like no one. But it's a hot topic right now, and it's really worth holding space for pain, I would say. So, like watching this TV show, I really got this true insight into the pain that he was experiencing. And he was also, as a child, abused by his father, who got a scar on his head. And Aries is, of course, the skull, the teeth, the face, the forehead. I myself am an Aries with a big forehead. And Aries can often have very interesting hair, and I do have like a receding, I feel like I've got a receding hairline. Thank God I've got really loads of hair, even though it's really thin. But my friend's dad was an Aries growing up, and he had a big bald head. And so I was like, oh, Aries and the head. I remember being like super young and thinking, like, yep, I'm going to have a head like him when I grow up. I wonder if I'll lose my hair. So I'm always really aware of like how thin my hair is on top because of that Aries signature. And Aries will often have that kind of like striking boldness. Not always. So, yeah, the head, the face, and issues to do with selfishness, people being super selfish, people being super passionate, and like no holds barred with that passion, with their aggression. That could be coming up a lot. And then we've got insubordinate Lilith in Libra. And of course, Libra is this sign of peacekeeping, but Libra is still a sign that knows what it wants. It's still a cardinal sign. So we've got Libra Cancer, Aries, and Capricorn are the cardinal signs. All of them, we might say they're bossy, we might say they're self-directed, we might say that they are the initiators, they're the ones that force change to happen because the sun is moving through those signs when the seasons change. So people forget that Libra is a cardinal sign, but actually, the way Libra asserts itself is through mental gymnastics, similar to a Gemini or an Aquarius, emphasis on air. These are the air signs. Libra is operating from a place of thought and intellect. And so Libra likes to evoke change or get what they want through a socially balanced, socially considered approach. So the fact that Lilith is in Libra opposing Chiron and square to Mars adds another dynamic to this about relationships and about, I think, like not playing ball somehow in relationships. We had a eclipse in October with Lilith on the South Node, but the South Node is now in Virgo, so we're a little bit out of that direct emphasis. But it was before Trump got elected, and it was all around the abortion debates. And I feel like the power being taken away from women. And so, again, here there being this frustration at this lunar eclipse, like this very testy energy. And it's all we can do to just take that real generous pause. Why are we going to take such a generous pause? Because Mercury is retrograde, Venus is retrograde, no other planets are retrograde, but that's quite enough. Venus and Mercury both retrograde. So there is so much yet to play out. We are in the thick of it. Not only that, but we've got Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, 29:57, inching ever closer to its ingress into Aries on the 30th of March. So super duper soon. Okay, so at this time, we've got Venus at 28 degrees. So it's already made its conjunction to Neptune. It's heading towards Saturn and the North Node. And then Mercury will also, there's a big glut. Let's face it, there's a massive stellium in that corner of the skies. So let's also just take a glance at this other little illustration that I've prepared on my little app. Haven't got Photoshop anymore because it's so expensive. So we've got here, these are the easy aspects. I've put solar eclipse easy. What did I name the other one? Just solar eclipse lines, but this one's easy aspects. So we've got two sextiles and a trine. We've got a trine between Mars and Saturn. Mars is approaching a trine to Saturn at 24 degrees. And Saturn's approaching a sextile to Uranus. This will be exact on April 4th. I've written very lengthy horoscopes for you, sign by sign, for Astrograph website. A lot of hours, blood, sweat, and tears goes into them, so please do click and have a read. I've also done a short and sweet horoscope for Elle magazine, monthly April horoscope, so that's super fun to read, just to top line stuff that's going on. And of course, I do your dailies, so always check in. They're so fucking accurate. What can I say? I'll toot my own horn, but I read them myself and I'm like, yep, it makes sense. So hopefully it makes sense for you too. I do write them with such love and care and thought. They're not just banged out thoughtlessly, you know? Anyhow, Saturn is the planet of boundaries, restriction, long-term plans, consistency, discipline, longevity. You might know Saturn by now, and he's in Pisces. And conversely, Uranus is the planet of shocks, surprises, not being able to settle down, being electric, being super excitable, innovative, progressive, doing things differently. So, Uranus is going to reveal where your life has taken a turn, where you've done something differently. And with these two conspiring, this is strong energy. It's so strong because not only is Saturn sextile, Uranus in Taurus, Saturn's leading this brigade of planets, and of course Mercury will be in Pisces in a cat's whisker in a real quick time. So you'll have so much synergy between planets in Pisces, Mars in Cancer, and Uranus in Taurus over the coming weeks. This is real synergized energy. So, depending on what two houses of the horoscope these touch and what house of the horoscope Saturn rules, because of course, Saturn, the ruling house of that horoscope, will also play into it because it just will. And then also the fact that Venus is the ruler, is ruled by, sorry, Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is also there in Pisces, all in harmony. This is a very strong energy that's bubbling up for us in Pisces, strong energy that's Taurus based, and strong energy at times that's Cancer based. So we're really honing in on basically these houses of the horoscope, obviously Jupiter in Gemini for good measure too. So let's just have a look at how it's playing out in a more animated, complicated way. I'm not going to go through sign by sign because it's so late and I don't want to disturb my neighbours because I'm good like that. Let's see. So here is the partial. Let me just see. Here's the partial solar eclipse in Aries. So again, you can see what's going on. It just looks slightly more complicated because the picture is a bit more busy there on my software. And then if we animate it to just go forward, just to see what happens next, just out of interest. My hand looks so big. Just to see what happens next, we've got, so let me just check that I've covered everything. So we've got Mercury and Pluto are having a conversation. That's happened before, and it will happen again when Mercury is direct in Aries in April. I think it's about mid-April. They'll come back together. So this is talking about deep, probing conversations. Then let's see what happens. Okay, let me switch those around. Oh, we make it to 0 Aries. There we go. So here we are at the eclipse moment, and just one day later, Mercury is with this little cluster in Pisces. So Neptune at this point, 2959, it is right on the brink, right there. And then the moon moving forward, Neptune, boom, into Aries. And then this is one of my favorite moments of the month is the Moon Mars conjunction. So the moon when it's in Cancer is in its domicile sign, and it's the last time that we will have a Moon Mars conjunction with Mars in Cancer for this round. I think it takes 3 years for Mars to do one tour of the zodiac. And to me, this speaks to our ability to soothe all ills. And after we've had such this long, long transit of Mars through Cancer, at this point we get to really hug ourselves and say, like, oh wow, what have we realized since this point? But Mercury and Venus still retrograde. Venus almost conjunct Saturn. Saturn trine Mars. Uranus right there too, the day before the sextile between Saturn and Uranus exact. Like, this astrology is popping off. It's amazing. And that's why we have to really focus on these two houses, or these three houses: Pisces, Cancer, Taurus. Okay. Obviously, the Aries season and Neptune in Aries is important. And then as we get to full moon, you will see that the sun is exactly conjunct Chiron at pretty much the same degree. So the full moon's at 23 degrees with Chiron. Mars is not really super square, but still is, right? And now we still have all of these planets in Pisces. So, all of that to say, the pain factor of Chiron, what's uncomfortable, what is super fucking painful right now, you know? And so, fuck it, I'll go through sign by sign and say a sign by sign for the eclipse for everyone, okay? Because I've been having obviously some observations over the past, you know, 48 hours or whatever. I always have observations of everyone. So for Aries, this is going to be a very personal pain point. And because Venus is retrograde and Venus is the ruler of self esteem for you, you could be really questioning your value, your worth, and having that extra confrontation of personal or physical discomfort. Not necessarily feeling with the Aries people, it's a wounding that's like literally having to go to the doctors. It's more an identity and kind of like self esteem character thing. Yeah. For the Taurus people, Taurus rising, this is about letting go. So there's a girl called Amy Lou Wood, and she is one of the White Lotus characters. She's got the two buck teeth, the two rabbit teeth, and she's amazing. She was super good in sex education, but what she's been saying recently is that she was super bullied for her teeth, for her face. You know, not necessarily for her face, but for her teeth. And she was saying on a TV show, a chat show, that orthodontists in America have been like pointing out what's wrong. And I've seen those videos. They say like the bridge of the mouth, and, you know, like people also criticize how people breathe and all this stuff on Instagram. And you can tell in a way like it's kind of painful for her because this is something she got bullied for as a kid. So this girl is an Aquarius sun and a Taurus rising. So as a Taurus rising, Venus again rules her physicality, her identity, and Venus is now in the house of closure and acceptance. So really like teasing over these issues from the past, this kind of ancient history of, oh, I was bullied as a child, and having to kind of move on from that and accept it. And she's doing it in a really public way, which is very cool because for the Taurus, the planet Pluto and Mercury Pluto is giving Taurus the public platform. So it's again 12th house, 10th house energy, which is a great example of that. Another one is Donatella Versace, who's a Taurus rising, who has been ousted out of Versace and is now presumably wrapping up her company. So again, for the Taurus people, Jupiter's in Gemini, the house of money and self-worth and what they've built and their job. And this Aries activity is going on in the 12th house and the 11th house of networks and community. So if you think about the fashion industry as a community. Then for the Gemini risings, the Chiron and the Sun Chiron and the Chiron square is happening in their 11th house of community networks, and the eclipse is happening in the house of community networks. Gosh, I don't feel like I can do it justice without talking about all the transits. For Gemini too, you're noticing that we've got Saturn and Mercury at the top of the chart, but never mind about Saturn and Mercury. You'll read it in my horoscopes. For the Gemini risings, it's about responsibilities at a public level, through the career, through the position in the public eye. But the Aries house of the horoscope for Gemini is their social network and community and how they participate among friends and teammates. So for Gemini rising, this is a really, really, really important time to be out and about among friends or teammates. They could be co-workers, but there may be something painful or uncomfortable about that. There may be something that doesn't feel 100% right about being in that social situation. Cancer rising. For you, it's the 10th house of public honors, prestige, being publicly acknowledged, and the position of leadership. So the quality of being seen as a parent, as a professional, as somebody on a mission, as somebody with something to do, might be something a little bit tender, bruising, painful about being seen. Perhaps you don't want to be seen in the relationship that you're in, or there is something uncomfortable about your professional life. Nevertheless, with each and every one of these, painful things, there's also this new beginning and this turning over of a new leaf and a fresh start energy. So, this is what eclipses are. And of course, if you wanted to go into it as well, the sun and the moon represent something for each and every one of us. So for the Cancer, the eclipses very much deal with personal things because for Cancer, Cancer rising ruled by the moon, Cancer second house ruled by the sun, those two together in the house of public image, there being a major fresh start for public image, but also it being very personal and about self-confidence for Cancer rising. For Leo rising, this is all about the ninth house, travel, long distance, foreigners and adventure, philosophy, higher thought, education, etc., etc. So there may be something painful about the way Leo risings experience broader horizons. So, for example, religion, right? Philosophy, some beliefs that you've cultivated, some doctrine or bureaucracy or negotiations that you've had to enter into to understand other cultures, other people. What is painful and uncomfortable, or how are you understanding other people's pain? I do think about Leo rising, who I know is politically active, and I do think to myself, I wonder if that person is confronted by, you know, doubts or kind of something painful realizations about being politically active in a kind of public sphere as well. Then you have, I'll just wind it back to the eclipse for fun. Then you have the Virgo risings. And for the Virgo risings, this is the eighth house of intimacy, how you trust and how you rely on other people, including big institutions, for a handout or for resources or for support. And again, for the Virgo rising, the Mercury Pluto sextile playing into this as well. So, like conversations with a healthcare professional, because Aquarius represents the sixth house for Virgo rising. And so, them plugging in and thinking, and Mercury being retrograde, and basically them having to welcome this new beginning, but also face up to, you know, social situations and social media or their community and like what's going on with people in the world around them and like participating among friends and society's values the status quo, like what's normal among the community, and then where are they having to, deeply invest and, as I say, rely on people, collaborate with people, take a leap of faith with another person. And then the quality of Aries being bold, honest, and, courageous, right? Like being honest about what you need, which is not always easy. Libra risings, this is happening in your relationship house. So, what is uncomfortable about one-to-one dynamics? They can be professional, personal, and all sorts, best friend, arch rival, coach, therapist, any kind of person, key figure that stands out to Libra rising. And of course, my sister's a Libra rising. So, of course, I spoke to her today as well, making sure that I'm in her thoughts while the Aries eclipse is going on. And her sun is an Aries, right? An Aries sun as well. So, it's his birthday party tomorrow. So, it's not his birthday though. So, very much Aries being at the forefront of the Libra rising's mind, but also how they step up in public as a leader, as an authority, because of this Mars in the 10th house for the Libra rising. Then for the Scorpio rising and the Scorpio suns, this is the sixth house of health. So, Chiron being triggered in the sixth house of health and the new beginning energy for the Scorpio risings. So, again, vulnerability being a bit of an issue because Jupiter is in the house of trust, loyalty, vulnerability. And then Mars is in the house of faith, philosophy, long distance travel, but also that ability to understand where other people are coming from. So I feel like it's pretty freaking charged for the Scorpio risings right now, like super duper. And also their fifth house of love, fun, hobbies, joy is also lit up. So there's a lot going on around their happiness and their health. So it could be sexual activity and needing to take care of business, balancing work and play, balancing hobbies and the practicality of such things. Um, yeah, and then home life featuring Pluto. Anyway, and then we've got the Sag risings, fifth house containing the eclipse. So the eclipse gives a new beginning for joyful experiences, happiness, children, pregnancy, joy, 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 hobbies, crafts, creativity, fashion, self expression, how you want to authentically experience joy. But what is painful about that? What is uncomfortable about really facing up to what you want with true honesty? Do you want a baby or do you want to go and play? You know, how is having a craft or a hobby really, really fun, but what's not fun about it? Where do you have to trust other people to have a stake in your crafting and hobbying and, you know, kind of depending on other people to play a part because Mars is in your eighth house, Sag rising, Sag. And all those planets are in your house of family and home, so responsibilities at home. Then we've got Capricorn rising. This is happening in your third house of neighbors, the Pisces activity. The fourth house is about security, home life, foundations, and family. So there's a fresh start for the Capricorn risings and the Capricorns all around home and hearth, family units. And the Mars is in the house of relationships, one to one partnerships. So, what's painful about family? What is painful about the past? What is painful, and how do other people trigger pain around even your understanding of your homeland and your heritage and where you come from? Like, is there an insecurity that's been sort of brewing about where you're from and, your sense of place? And then for the Aquarius risings, this is in your third house of local environments and everyday environments that you're kind of like, it can be your kind of neighborhood, or it could be your literal space and operating and engaging in your space. It could be what your workplace with your among your work buddies. And then Saturn in your second house of finances, so working really hard for the money, and Mars in your sixth house of day to day life, organization, getting shit done, managing health, managing routines, staying on top of your health and wellness goals. And that not corroborating, not being easy, managing things and managing friendships, communication skills, and how you get along with people. Not an easy combination. Could come off as extra bossy, could come off as extra um, curt in your tone, you know? But you have an opportunity for a fresh start. Aquarius risings. And then finally, Pisces risings. This is in your house of money. Where is money a pain point, Pisces? Where is your sense of self esteem troublesome? Where is it uncomfortable to be paid your worth? Like, have you struggled to assert boundaries around, not boundaries, what have you struggled to say, pay me, bitch? But also figuring out what job you like to do that brings you pleasure and cash. Because it's really important that we have a sense of joy. And for you, Mars has been activating your passions, your ability to enjoy life, enjoy your kids, enjoy, anything, passion projects, running around the block, enjoying living, partying even, but then also balancing like, can we get paid to party? Can we get paid to have fun? Can we get paid to do the mother and baby thing? This is Cancer. So, fun stuff that's also to do with home and nourishment and nurturing. And then all the way back to Aries again. And Aries being also very much themes of property, home, family. That's definitely true for me because I've definitely been thinking a lot about my family lately and a lot about domestic life too, like cooking, and want to learn to cook. Even though I feel like I can cook, I haven't been very disciplined about it or proactive. So, and fish is on the menu, very Pisces. So let's try and cook some fish next week. Oh my goodness, I'm a fan of girl dinners instead of cordon bleu, but I'm going to try. Anyway, that is the eclipse. So let's just talk quickly about general advice for the eclipse. I have heard non-stop all day babies screaming next door. Two different families have had the babies screaming, and then I FaceTimed with a friend, and the baby was up and awake, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So, those of you with children, anticipate that today and maybe even tomorrow, the kids are gonna be all right, but hyper. Yeah, the kids are going to be wide awake. My other friend with two children has absolutely confirmed that her motherhood circle absolutely comment whenever it's an eclipse or a full moon or a new moon how restless the children are. And there was a study done by Alex Trenelworth, who is a teacher and an astrologer, and she said that the findings of when the children got into most trouble is a new moon. And the theory behind that is that when the moon disappears, more mischief can happen. So when it's a full moon, apparently there's light in the sky. So inherently within humans, we're more aware if we're going to get caught under a full moon. But new moon, which is tomorrow, mischief is happening. So it's Friday. Anticipate that today and tomorrow could be times of mischievous action. And so you might want to be a bit more careful, especially given all that passionate energy that's going on. Like it is, you know, there's some trouble and strife going on, but less than trouble and strife. I don't feel like it's aggressive. I feel like it's painful, right? What really gets you there? What really, forces you to confront emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical pain. And what do we do with that pain? How do we transcend it? How do we transmute it? How do we transform it? And that's not really something we can do with this one. We're kind of having to look at it head on and just live with it. Maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, even myself right now as an Aries, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so unprofessional the way I do these videos, whispering into a fucking microphone in my bedroom, like, not in my bedroom, but like, it's not very professional. So that's my pain point. Vulnerable, but it's true. It's not very professional, but I vow with the eclipse to be more professional and take things into time consideration and prepare earlier. But I've been doing a lot of work. I've had all these different horoscopes to write, which is my absolute passion and love. So there's one for the passion. Anyways, that's my eclipse update for you. Drink. So here's the other tips for the eclipse. Be mindful. Don't necessarily go rushing around. Appreciate that everybody is probably going through way, way more than we even realize. I can be quite cheerful and cavalier as a Sagittarius moon, and you know, you just never know what's on the end of the phone, or what kind of a day somebody's having, or how somebody's lost someone or been betrayed or struggling with relationships. You just never ever know. So really be tender on yourself, compassionate and caring for others, and soothe yourself also. Make sure that you get lots of water, drink lots of water. I'm off to go and pour myself a glass as well. And yeah, just appreciate that everybody's having a struggle. I think so. All of these planets at the end of Pisces, it's very heartening. It's this kind of mystical time when we're all wondering, where's the time gone? Time seems to be in a different on a different timeline now. Everyone's saying about how long ago COVID was. It was half a decade ago. It seems like yesterday. Um, but anyway, with that, I will wrap up. And yeah, it's the true beginning of spring with this new moon. So, seed intentions, plant seeds, nothing too crazy. It's an eclipse. Um, but yeah, big hugs from me, and I'll see you next time.